What is up, guys? Hopefully, you're all doing good. Good evening. And we're just going to do a quick recap on today's session. No trades were taken today at all. Clearly, I had no given opportunities within the market today. My model wasn't playing out, and we didn't really get that idea that we were looking for. So let's just break it down here. If you guys watched my live stream from today, I did mention that I was neutral, and I was a little cautious from this previous day's high here. How we opened high, low, close type of a deal. Like, well, not. I'm not saying that we opened high, right, and we continued going higher without forming a lower wick. We didn't open low, right? We opened high. Coming into this daily PD, this previous day's high, right here. So let me just rewind this. So we targeted the previous day's high here. We also had it on YM and ES as well. Currently, during the time of the live stream, YM was actually it had a failure swing, and we'd never tapped into previous day's high here. On the 4 hour, actually, let me go back here quickly. Just wanted to take note of this here. We also tapped into this, so there was really no SMT there. In the 4 hour, we noticed that we had a C2 closure. So you notice how on the opening, we just expanded higher instead of coming back to this inefficiency. This would have been a great area, and this is the area that I was looking at last night. I wanted to see, I was anticipating for today's New York session for us to tap into this and then continue going higher, disrespecting these down close candles and back to this relevant high here. But unfortunately, we expanded higher throughout the open, Asia and London, and then London gave us that idea that we had a C2 closure here, right? The C2 closure gave us the idea that we were willing to go short, and then we were anticipating a C3 continuation on ES. On NQ, and same thing with ES. As you can clearly see, they all did the same thing. YM was the only one that we didn't. We had failure swings. This made it a little more difficult today because we had it was a decoupled market today, as both YM started off weaker before 9:30, and I'm just gonna go one more time frame lower here. So as you can see, we had the failure swings. We started expanding lower at 6 a.m., 7, 8, and then 9 o'clock, which 9:30 I would say, we had a strength switch where YM took out these relative equal highs here, and then you could see NQ and ES expand much, much lower here. So that C2 that we were talking about on the 4 hour, and then as you break it down onto the hourly, we had a nice shift in structure. We never had a change in the state of delivery here. On ES we did, and we did have one on YM, but you can see how we had a strength switch here, and YM started to continue going higher. And then notice how at 8 o'clock on NQ, we actually formed another C2 with an SMT here. So anticipating this as personally, I wasn't really looking for shorts, but sometimes there's those days where you get those retracements like today. But honestly, this was a very deep retracement. We're basically now anticipating us to go back to the ERL because it's clearly now we're forming failure swings here on both ES and NQ. In a way, same thing with YM right here. So just based off that daily profile structure, this could have been anticipated clearly. And I was actually a little late into this candle here. I actually got on stream around 9:15, so this was already like forming. If we were really realistically looking for those shorts, noticing how where's 9 o'clock right here, this would have been your 9 o'clock right here. So if you had that change in the state of delivery right here, so 8:30, would wait for 8:30, change in the state of delivery. 9 o'clock would have been that. At the end of the day, it's not a bad trade. You could have had your stop loss right here at the swing point, and then expanding it towards that. Well, the target originally was this right here. Was this right here. I was not expecting this massive drop here. My idea coming into today was that I wanted to see, since we had that strength switch, my first question was, are we failing to manipulate, or are we manipulating to continue going lower, right? So seeing this was a little tricky because since both ES and NQ expanded so large, and then YM expanded higher, it was very tricky to now anticipate what it's going to do, if it's going to confirm a reversal for us to continue going lower on NQ and ES, or it was going to fail to manipulate, NQ and ES was going to fail to manipulate within this area of interest, or the fair value gap that was at the below the one that I had marked, which was one right here. This was all within the 4-hour candle, right? So what I was waiting for was for 10 o'clock, which 10 o'clock did give us that C2 closure, right? But then notice how we didn't really, this was very tricky because I would have rather, if we were going to go lower, I would have rather liked to see YM maybe form another SMT right here to have a strength switch. Then we can see maybe NQ and ES retrace into a gap, which clearly we did not. If you look at a 10 o'clock session right here, this was 9:30, 10 o'clock, we expanded lower, we expanded higher afterwards, and then we didn't really tap into any inefficiency, right? We just continued going lower, and then YM was just consolidating here until it started going lower with around 11 o'clock, and then we went much lower. So it wasn't really I'm gonna say, like, I personally didn't really like the sell idea, but again, it was a valid trade. Now that I'm looking back, YM did have a PSP with an SMT, right? Or sorry, not an SMT here, but it was an SMT currently. Just give me a sec. Hold on. Oh, I thought there was an SMT. No, there is. Well, you can say from this high right here, but I'm not really going to say that's a valid one. I would say like it's either one here. So there was this SMT right here, like the all-time high for NQ and ES, and then YM is the one that took it. So we'll say that this was the SMT right here, and then again the C2 closure, right? So with this candle, you would anticipate an open, high, low, close if you were anticipating it to go lower here. Again, since NQ and ES were so deep into the range, you would want to trade this as a lagging asset, so you can anticipate it to catch up. Since it is failing to manipulate here and we're going lower, clearly it only started expanding lower at 11 o'clock. You notice how this 10 o'clock hourly candle really didn't do much. We just expanded and came up, so it didn't really do much. It was just a consolidation candle. If we look at the 30-minute, it can be a little better. You can see we opened, came up again, and then we expanded lower, forming this change in the state of delivery, which is a confirmation to continue going lower. Again, I had my idea for the buys here today, guys. I noticed a lot of people, like some of the people that I follow on my Instagram, took this specific buy right here, right? Because there was a two-stage SMT here, and then, like I mentioned before, we had that PSP on the 4-hour. Personally, I guess it makes sense because, well, not really actually, because I didn't really see any reversal signature off the one that was the one that expanded lower, which was ES and then Q. So if you were trying to enter in this 1025 candle, which had the change in the state of delivery to continue going higher, at 1025 here, we didn't really show any reversal signature on this candle, right? We still had the change in the state of delivery right here, which we did afterwards, but then clearly you can see how we just expanded lower off of that, right? So yeah, it was very tricky. I'm actually very surprised that a lot of them took this trade, because I didn't really see any confirmation on it based off the other assets. But again, I did mention on the live stream that I wanted to see us hold above this, and then most likely continue forming a propulsion block to continue going higher. Also, it was 1025's candle right here. I would have rather waited for 1030 to open low high close for us to then anticipate that 1030 candle to continue going higher. But unfortunately, you can see how we just failed to do so, created a new lower low, and then you could see us well, you can actually see there was an SMT here now that I'm looking at it, from this high to this low, and then from, we can say from this high to this high. So you notice how there was a strength switch right there, and then see how YM started expanding lower. Same thing with ES and MQ clearly, but YM was the one that produced the largest amount here on this down move here. But there was really nothing to confirm that, because clearly we didn't really trade into any inefficiency to confirm this SMT, right? We were leaving the gap here, right? I guess if you looked on the 15 minute, we had it on the 15 minute here. Let me just erase everything here. Oh man. We did have this 15-minute gap here, which personally, I don't really like looking at the 15. I'd rather look at the 30-minute, especially if there is a 30-minute gap just right above it. It's a much higher time frame gap, so I'd prefer that than the 15-minute. But you can see how that 15-minute did respect. Where is it? Sorry, wrong time frame. So on ES and NQ, you can see how both were respected, right? And then if we go into the 3-minute here, you can see how we did tap into it, and then we formed that SMT right here, right? So we had that strength switch right here with ES and NQ and with YM right there. And then once you had that change in the state of delivery right here, this would have been your valid trade right here. Oops. Stop loss right there. And then a fixed 2R, you could have gone to the low right here, or just use your standard deviation tool right here to anticipate maybe like a nice back to the -2 deviation. Usually this is an area where you would want to see price retrace into, or retrace, or just like, yeah, retrace and then continue going lower, but a good solid area. But you can see how the logic still played out for that short. Again, I just wasn't looking for shorts. Personally, I was into the buys because because due to the fact that YM was just really consolidating here. So I didn't really feel confident in shorting. Again, if I really saw a strength switch with NQ and ES going much higher, and then showing some reversal signatures within a higher time frame gap, and then strength switching with YM, then I would have maybe possibly taken a short. But off this 15-minute, I wasn't really too confident with it, guys. But it is what it is. At the end of the day, guys, it's a day that I don't trade. I didn't lose any capital, so that's the plus out of it. Like I said, there's plenty of other days to be trading, so it's nothing really major to be mad about or sad about. But yeah, tomorrow's a new day, guys, so I guess we can just talk about what we're looking for tomorrow very quickly. So clearly, as of right now, we do have an SMT here. Okay. I just don't like how NQ and ES are now leaving failure swings. But I guess it can be for another time. But overall, I want to see NQ and ES attack these right now. We have a really good closure on YM. So I'm still looking at YM for buys on the longer term here, because clearly with the closure you could see the strength in YM compared to NQ and ES, especially with all the news that's been going on, guys, with the whole China trying to convince if you saw the news about China trying to say that the yen should be the new world currency, then you have the whole hawkish new Fed chair being announced and everything, and then what else? There was something going on with China and Taiwan, saying that China was going to be taking over Taiwan and stuff like that. So a whole bunch of stuff going on, news related, guys, and it's crazy how it's just only the new month right now, the second month of the new year, and we're just getting all this massive all this nonsense going on around the world. If you are an investor also in the stock world, we had a major decline on a lot of stocks today. It was a bloodbath, to be honest. A lot of things were going down. But yeah, as of right now, currently, I want to see YM to continue going higher. I would like to see that SMT most likely within the indices if NQ and ES can continue coming into this relevant low right here, or we will continue going lower back to these relevant lows here. But overall, guys, that is it. Actually, let's just look at dollar quickly. Dollar tapped into it, which is nice, and then we consolidated. So based off this daily closure right here, we want to see if it respects the inefficiency here on the BISI, or to continue going higher, or are we just gonna start going lower since we traded off this SIBI on the daily time frame. But overall, guys, that is it. We'll see how tomorrow plays out. Tomorrow we do have some news, but we also want to keep in mind for tomorrow that now that I actually don't know now, actually, to be honest, because apparently Trump signed a letter to cancel the shutdown, like the government shutdown. So I'm not sure now if NFP is now back on the board, or are we just not gonna let's see, February 6th. Yeah, it's not here, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure how tomorrow's gonna be playing out, because tomorrow we weren't really supposed to be. Well, actually, tomorrow. I'm sorry, guys. I'm thinking tomorrow's Thursday. It's only Wednesday tomorrow, guys, so we can still get a good trade in tomorrow. Thursday's tentative for the unemployment claim, so I'm not really sure if that's going to change, since apparently Trump signed a letter to cancel the shutdown. But yeah, we have some news at 8:30 and then at 10 o'clock, so we will anticipate what price is going to do within that specific time, if we're going to either manipulate or expand, and then same thing with 10 o'clock, guys. So other than that, guys, have a very good night, stay safe, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Take care.